Ofir Akunis, Israeli Consul General to New York, thanks so much for taking the time to join us here. I've got to ask you, after 15 years in the Knesset and even longer than that in the political arena, why did you choose to take this job to begin with?
Very good question. I think that we are living in challenging times. I think that it's not less important to be here these days and represent the state of Israel and the Jewish people from here, from New York. And as you said, I'm right after 15 years in a row in the Knesset. And I think that a political leader should, do more things in his career. And I think that this is the right place to be these days, especially these days.
You're here in the middle of an absolute storm right now. How do you even go about organizing your priorities when everything is so fluid and changing by the day?
I think that the main issue here is the attacks on the Israeli and Jewish students in the universities and among the campuses. This is unacceptable. I think that this is the very first thing that I'm dealing with. The very first meeting here in the consulate was about the attacks on our people in Columbia University and New York, NYU University, and the others. I think that this is urgent because we are a few weeks before the new year in the campuses, and I'm calling from here to the American people and to the American leaders to do whatever they can to stop it. This is unacceptable. If someone wants to protest against the state of Israel or against the Jewish communities, he can do it, but not in the way that they act in the end of April and the beginning of May, to wave Hezbollah flags, ISIS flags, Hamas flags, to scream and shout that the October 7th was only the beginning. This is unacceptable. This is not the freedom of speech, it's the freedom of hate.
This is obviously a time of political upheaval in Israel, but it's also a time of political upheaval and uncertainty here in the United States. And your dealings at the consulate, at the political level here in the New York area, who have you found to be a willing partner and who are you still trying to bring on board?
First of all, I'm trying to bring everybody to support Israel. I think that the American administration, American people, American leaders must stand with Israel because, Israel and the United States are in a very, very good relationship from the days that actually we declared the state of Israel. This is a very strong ally and will continue. And as I said, and I will say it again, we, the Israelis, are not part of the current campaign. You will choose. The American people will choose their president and their administration. And we, of course, respect any result that we'll see here in November 4th. And actually, this is the main idea of democracy. Well, what is the main idea of democracy? The will of the people. So we will respect the will of the people here in the United States, and I am sure that you, the Americans, will respect the will of the people in Israel.
In terms of your dealings at the street level with the American Jewish community here in New York, I mean, what's the sense of what you're getting from them? Is it fear? Is it resiliency? Take me into those discussions and those dealings.
In the darkest days, you can see the light. And the light is that the most, Jewish communities are united these days. And this unity reflects actually strength and not the opposite. We will not be victims anymore. You know why? I learned from history, and a lot of the Jewish communities here already learned from the history. You cannot be silent anymore, and we will not be victims anymore. It happened to the Jewish people in the 30s, and I heard it from my grandmother. She escaped from Poland a few days after the Nazis invaded Poland. And the Jewish communities in Europe and here in the United States as well remained silent then in the 30s and the beginning of the 40s. It will not happen again. We are strong, we are united, And I think that from, as I said, from the darkest days maybe of the Jewish communities since the very first immigration waves 120 years ago, we will be much stronger and will continue to be united. And this is, as I can see it, the most important thing.
Now, you made a comment a few days ago calling these encampments, these protests, this violence toward Jews in the New York area a radical Muslim occupation. Do you stand by that phrasing?
I never said that it's a Muslim issue. I think that the radical Islam, influenced by Tehran and the axis of evil, is a huge problem, not only to the state of Israel, not only to the Jewish communities. It's the axis of evil versus the Western world. This is the problem. How do I know it? I can hear, from this office, the screamings, death to America, death to Israel, glory to Palestine. So it's not about us anymore. And I'm warning, we all know that a lot of neighborhoods around Europe are already under a radical Muslim occupation. We know it. We know it from London, from Paris, from Brussels, from the Netherlands, and from Sweden. I don't want that such a thing will happen here in the United States.